One of the biggest problems I see with people that are trying to gain weight and they just can't move the scale, they just can't get the scale to go up, they can't increase weight, is they're doing too much in the gym or they're just doing too much exercise. That is not going to make you gain weight. A consistent caloric surplus is what's going to make you gain weight, and you can do that without stuffing your face in a single meal. The reason I say that is because a lot of people who eat like that, they just eat these enormous meals every once in a while, your calories likely aren't balancing out to a consistent surplus over time. What you're doing is, let's say this is your baseline right here. Let's say this is your maintenance calories, right? In order to be in a surplus over time, you need to be eating above baseline here. So then what that looks like for people who eat in inconsistent spikes, they're generally eating below baseline, and they'll have like a massive spike in calories, and then they'll kind of just hover like around baseline, have like a spike, a drop. Like that's what their calories look like, and it generally balances out to around baseline. So they don't end up gaining any weight. If anything, it might even balance out to a little bit below baseline. So it's not about these big spikes, it's about what this averages out to. You need to be, it's all about the average calories. The same goes for weight loss. It's the exact same concept. It's about what baseline, or does it average out to be above or below baseline or at baseline? So what a better diet would look like would be something like this. If you could literally just eat like that, no crazy spikes, no stuffing yourself like crazy, but you're also staying consistent so you don't have days down here where you're not eating anything. Or if you prefer, it could even look more like this. It could be semi-inconsistent, right? You could have big days of eating and days of no eating, days of mild eating, and you could balance it out that way. It doesn't really matter as long as, because this will balance out to this. As long as it balances out to a weekly average that is in a caloric surplus, then you're gonna be just fine. So if you wanted to gain, for example, a steady pace of 4 pounds per month, right? You would have to eat in a 500 calorie surplus daily. That comes out to 1 pound per week, 4 pounds per month. So 500 calorie surplus daily is what? 3,500 calories per week. So let's say this is, let's say this maintenance, right? This baseline here is 2,000 calories per day. And then this surplus right here, let's call this 2,500. That would be your 500 calorie increase. And so but the thing is, you don't necessarily have to eat this every day. Like I said, this, you could vary like this. So both this line and this graph both average out to a 3,500 calorie increase every single week, which is the same thing. So an example of that, right? Let's say we have, so this line right here, right? This is 500, 500, 500, 500, and so on. So 500 times 7 equals 3,500. That's the goal. But then if we wanted something like this, we can call this like 250, 750, 250, 750, 0, 1,000, and then 0, and then like another, and then this would be like 500. You get the point, right? The numbers can vary. You can have low days, you can have big days. Or really what we could do is we could actually make this more like, we could have days down here where you're eating 0. So 0 is maintenance, it's baseline. It's just zero calorie surplus, which would mean you're eating 2,000. So it's plus 0, right? So 0, and then here we have an increase in 1,200, 1,200. That's 3,600 calories. So technically this would be like 1130. But yeah, this same, even though here we're eating 3,200, and 2,000, 2,000, 2,000, and here is 2,500 every single day, it still equals out to the exact same baseline. So then how do you work with this? What do you do with this information, right? You figure out what works best for you. Some people prefer to eat very consistently the exact same amount every single day. That's more of the conventional method. It's track your calories. That's your daily calorie macro goal, whatever. Or this also works. You can think about it not as a daily goal, but instead as a weekly goal. So you split up your weekly calories however you want. Completely up to you. It does not matter. But I mean, within reason. Obviously, I wouldn't eat 15,000 calories in one day and then nothing the rest of the week. But it can vary a little bit, and that's dependent on your preference. So the best meal plan, the best program that you can possibly do is the one that you can stick to. So for you, the best one is literally whichever one of those preferences you prefer, whichever one you can do most consistently over time is the one that's going to work best for you. So the one that would work best for me might not be the one that would work best for you. So your job is to figure out which one that is for you. So you can experiment with things, try things. I think no one in the fitness industry really tells people to experiment and toy around with stuff. They just say, my way is the best way, and I'm going to teach you because I'm all knowing and I know everything and I'm the best coach and whatever. It's like, okay, yeah, maybe you know a lot, but most of the people who know things, who have experienced things and have a lot of fitness knowledge, they don't have all that by simply learning from a coach or simply reading a textbook. Yes, I've learned from coaches. Yes, I've studied textbooks. I studied kinesiology. I'm certified and all that stuff. But a lot of the knowledge that I have about the gym and about fitness and everything that I teach, not everything, I guess, and a lot of what I teach comes from my experience, comes from experimenting with things, comes from toying with different strategies, trial and error, failing, winning, succeeding, seeing what works for me, trying so many different strategies. I can't tell you how many different things I've tried and failed on when it comes to fitness and fat loss and weight gain, muscle gain, strength gain. I've tried so many things. I've done all kinds of stuff, and that has benefited me. And so I can teach you from my own experience, and I will do that. I can do that, and I hope that you'll listen. But at the same time, I think it's beneficial for you to experiment yourself. People don't encourage that enough. People don't encourage experimentation in fitness enough. Yes, if you don't want to waste time, I'll show you exactly what to do. If you want to get in the shape that you want to get in, if you want me to coach you through it, we will go right through that. I can get you there as fast as possible. Or if you want to learn a little bit on your own, take your time. I also think that's beneficial. I also think it's beneficial to experiment with things and find what works for you. So don't be afraid to do that. That's what I would do in terms of your calorie split throughout the week. Now, what's the best way to actually do that, right? I've had a lot of people ask me, should I increase my protein if I want to build muscle? Well, maybe. It depends how much protein you're already eating. Protein doesn't work like the more the better. You need to be at a good amount of protein, and then the rest of the calories can be increased from whatever you want. I'd recommend carbs and fats. So I would aim for around 0.8 to 1.5 grams of protein per pound of body weight. So an example of that, if you weigh 200 pounds, for example, right? 200 pounds body weight, you want to eat between 0.8 and 1.5 grams per each of those 200 pounds. So what that would look like is you want to eat between 160 to 300 grams of protein per day. Somebody who is 150 pounds, right? They would want to eat more like 120 to 225 grams per day. Just do that calculation. All you have to do is multiply your body weight in pounds, not kilos, by these numbers, and you find a good range for the amount of protein that you're going to be eating per day. And then if you're already eating within that range, you do not have to increase your protein to gain muscle. All that you have to do is increase your calories. Your protein is fine. The calories is the problem. So in order to increase the calories, increase that through carbs and fats. I recommend to most of my clients increase the fats. That's going to give you the highest leverage change. Carbs have 4 calories per gram. Fats have 9 calories per gram. Now this is technically not all 4 calories if you take into account fiber, soluble, insoluble, but talk about that in another video. We can estimate 4. Fat, more than twice the amount of calories as carbs. So if you increase 100 grams of carbs in your diet, you'll increase 400 calories. But if you increase 100 grams of fat, you'll increase 900 calories, almost 1,000 calories from adding to your diet roughly half a cup of fat throughout the entire day. That's an enormous difference for a very small change. High leverage, right? Small input, large output, high leverage. So use these to adjust a little bit of calories throughout the day. If you're looking for good foods to do that, I would just choose high fat protein sources like beef, like red meat, beef, like ground beef, right? Like 80-20. 1 pound equals roughly 1,200 calories. It's a lot. But if you do something like the 95-5, it's still a pound of beef. What's the difference, right? 1 pound of that equals around 600 calories. It's about half. Very, very big difference. If you ask what's the difference, that's the difference. It's simply because 95-5 has a lot less fat. And that is where the calories are at. So something like that, eggs around 70 calories per egg. And a lot of people say, what about egg whites? Egg white has 15 calories, the yolk has 55, add them together, that's 70. The yolk is where the fat is in the egg. That's where a majority of the calories are at. That's why eggs are decently high in calories, but you need to include the yolk. Butter, oil, add butter to your eggs, pour olive oil on your food. You don't have to go crazy, but this is where you can make small adjustments to get a large change. And then carbs, increase, if you want to do that, carbs are going to also increase your calories. So you can eat big bowls of pasta, eat lots of bread, whatever, and it's going to increase your calories. But if it's very hard for you to increase the calories and you're just having a hard time, I would recommend starting with increasing the fat. It's going to give you the most aggressive change. That's what I would start with. And then kind of dial it down, adjust, throw in some carbs, figure out what you want. Still eat carbs, but focus on increasing fat as the main manipulated variable. Okay, now in terms of actually exercising and working out, at the beginning of this video, I said a lot of people just are doing way too much in the gym. A lot of people that are struggling with weight gain, for some reason, they're doing so many different exercises. They're in the gym every single day and they're doing all kinds of different things, and that's not necessary. When I train a few times a week. I do 2, maybe 3 sets per muscle group, and I lift really heavy. I train like 6 to 8 reps. Sometimes I'll go up to 10, but you can keep it very, very simple, guys. I would keep your workouts to like 8 exercises maximum. And I try to be out of the gym within an hour. Train very hard, train to get stronger. And I would focus more on compound movements, right? So not isolation, like I want to get bigger arms, so I'm gonna do bicep curls. Yes, that'll work. But if you're skipping out on the isolation movements, that's what's gonna target the biggest muscles in your body. If you're skipping out on the compound movements. So I would focus on 6 movement patterns to build the foundation of your workouts around. 1, horizontal push. What is this? This is bench press, chest press, push-ups. Anything in this horizontal pushing plane of motion is this. Horizontal push. Next, horizontal pull. What is this? This is any kind of rowing movement. Cable row, T-bar row, barbell row, machine row, any of those. Horizontal pull. Now we go in the vertical plane. Vertical push. What is this? Any kind of overhead OHP, overhead press, shoulder press, military press, they're all the same thing. On the Smith machine, on a machine with a barbell, with dumbbells, anything in the overhead pressing type of movement. Now, you can probably imagine what's next. Push, pull, vertical, pull. These are like the 4 main movements for upper body. Vertical pull. What's this? You can probably imagine. Vertical pull, pull up, lat pull down, chin up, any of those, right? I probably don't need to be writing these down, honestly. You can probably vertical pull, pull up, chin up, lat pull down. Number 5, Now we move on to lower body. 2 main movements for lower body. Squat. So this is going to be any kind of squatting movement, squatting motion. This can be a regular squat. It doesn't have to be though. I would say you could go leg press, hack squat. Some people categorize lunges as a separate category, but I'm gonna put lunges in here. Lunges, any kind of squatting movement. And then the 6th one, the last one, I don't know if you can guess this one, hip hinge. Wow, I did not. My writing's getting really bad, guys. The more and more I work on a computer, the less I write. Handwriting's getting tough. I hope you can read my writing. But hip hinge, anything bending at the hip. So examples of this, RDL, hip thrust, back extension. So yeah, anything focusing on moving specifically at the hips. That's going to target more of the posterior chain. Oh, why did I erase that? That's going to target more of the posterior chain, and this is going to target more of the quads. If you simply did only these 6 exercises, that was it, and you try to hit each one twice a week or twice every 10 days, roughly, if you wanted to be a little bit more flexible, and you did each one, you did roughly 2 to 3 sets between the 6 to 10 rep range, and you train to between 0 to 2 RIR. RIR is reps in reserve. So if you train to 0 RIR, that means you're training to failure. Reps in reserve means you're training it to 0 reps in reserve, 0 reps in the tank. Basically meaning you cannot do any more, you train your absolute max. You train to 1 or 2, that means you push the set to the point where you probably had 1 or 2 sets or 1 or 2 reps left in the tank, but you stopped it right there. For more beginner lifters, I would say train to 1 or 2 RIR. Train with intensity, but don't push yourself insanely hard. You don't even need that much to cause an adaptation. Although I like to train to failure. So train somewhere here. I'd recommend probably more 0 or 1, but if you're newer, probably more 1 or 2. 2 to 3 sets per exercise, 6 to 10 reps. And then you try and hit each of these 2 times per 7 to 10 days. That's it. You will build a very, very good looking, strong, and functional physique. And then on top of this, that is where you add in the isolation exercises, and you don't do a lot. This is really the foundational core of your training. So that on top of that, you add in the bicep curls at the end, you add in the tricep push downs, you add in the leg extensions, you add in the lateral raises. That's where you do that. And then you can kind of adjust from there, but use this as your core. Most people don't do this. Most people don't have this as a foundation. I think that's one of the reasons why people who know what they're doing look good and they make results easier. While as the people who don't know what they're doing, they don't look as good and they have a really hard time getting results. It's because they lack the foundation. So if you incorporate everything that I've put in this video, I don't think you'll have much of a problem gaining weight. If any of you are struggling with any of this, you're struggling with weight loss, weight gain, anything in the gym, and maybe you just want to sit down, you just want to have a call with me and just ask me a few questions, I have a consultation link down below. You can book a call and we can sit down, you can ask me any questions. If you guys want coaching, if you like my ongoing one-on-one support, I have another link down below for one-on-one coaching. Go ahead and book there, or if you'd rather, you can just shoot me a DM on Instagram, DM me the word fit. I'll reach out to you and see if we're a good fit. But at the very least, I really hope this helped. If you guys have questions about this stuff specifically, feel free to put it in the comments and I can make videos answering those.